It's undeniable that the most fun way for fans to express themselves is with ludicrous fan theories. Whether it's Jack from Titanic being a time traveller, Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord, Willy Wonka being a certified murderous psychopath, or Dumbledore actually being all three. Geez, that man gets around. It's all fun and games to speculate on what could be lurking under the surface of our favourite movies, following the one rule of the crazier, the better. We just don't expect the filmmakers to actually lose it enough to get in on the deal and make babbling nonsense real-life canon. Luckily for us though, that's exactly what's happened with these movies, vindicating frothing fanboys the world over and turning internet arguments into bona fide screenwriting goldmines. You never know when Stanley is watching, guys. With that in mind, I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are 8 movie fan theories that were confirmed by the creators. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. 8. Logan's death was foreshadowed in the Wolverine. Many fans, after noticing a connection between this scene and a quicklime midway through the Wolverine, speculated that Wolverine's death had been smartly hinted at right under our noses. In the Wolverine, Logan chats with Yukio, a mutant who can foresee people's deaths. Here she tells him that she's seen him die and goes on to describe his death to him. I see you on your back. There's blood everywhere. You're holding your own heart in your hand. A bit morbid, really. But this is exactly how Logan meets his end, on his back with a big bloody hole in his stomach clasping his heart. In this case, his daughter's hand. I mean, if Hugh Jackman wasn't spilling his insides everywhere, it would be dead cute. Excuse the pun. After interacting with a fan on Twitter, director James Mangold confirmed that he was indeed seeding the death by adding that line into the Wolverine. 7. The Peddler in Aladdin is actually the Genie. For years, fans had assumed that the opening narrator of Aladdin, the Peddler, was in fact the Genie, just in disguise. Given the fact that both characters were voiced by Robin Williams and were rather eccentric, this assumption seemed accurate. But with no official confirmation, there was no way to know for sure. In 2015, it arrived in the form of an interview with directors Ron Clements and John Musker, who said the duplicitous character was originally planned, but the reveal was lost to story changes and the all-consuming editing process. In the same interview, the directors also laughed off a rumour that Aladdin was set in a post-apocalyptic future. They give and they take away. Spoil sports. 6. Aquaman saved Superman in Man of Steel. One of Man of Steel's opening scenes finds Clark Kent working on a fishing boat, trying to live a normal human life. After the boat receives a distress call from a nearby oil rig, he leaps into action, using his superpowers to save the workers trapped inside. Clark ends up floating in the water after the rig explodes, and somehow he winds up near the mainland, where he steals some clothes and quickly flees the scene. So, did Clark miraculously float to the mainland himself, or was he given a bit of assistance from our favourite fisherman's friend? That's a question that's bugged fans for years. Many suspected that Aquaman was involved somehow, given his proficiency with any water-based exploit. Clues in the name, really. This quickly became the prevailing fan theory. And a few years later, Jason Momoa revealed that his character did save Superman, something director Zack Snyder had planned from the beginning. Easter eggs for all. 5. Get Out is a sequel to Being John Malkovich. Bear with me. For starters, the two films share similar plot points. In Being John Malkovich, Craig finds a passageway into the mind of actor John Malkovich. You wouldn't have guessed from the title. Eventually, he discovers he can override Malkovich's brain and fully control him. And in Get Out, Dean performs a procedure where he implants white minds into black bodies, allowing the white people to control their black hosts. However, Being John Malkovich ends with the doorway into Malkovich's mind being closed. If Maxine from that movie still wanted to use this mind-controlling ability, she would need to explore other options. So after the film ends, she seduces and marries a neurosurgeon, plots out the whole white minds black bodies plan, changes her identity and moves out into the woods to live in privacy. As you do. This isn't something Jordan Peele had fully mapped out while shooting Get Out, but the notion that both movies exist in the same universe is something he wholeheartedly approved in a Vanity Fair video. His exact words were, "As far as I'm concerned, it's true." 4. Peter Parker was at the Stark Expo in Iron Man 2. Spider-Man has had a great run in the MCU thus far, with a scene-stealing turn in Civil War, a fantastic solo movie, and fucking fading into the wind in Infinity War, leaving us all not feeling so good, Mr. Stark. Crippling death scene aside, there were some people who believed that the character had appeared in the MCU way before his debut in the third Captain America movie. At the end of Iron Man 2, an army of drones attacks a Stark Expo, causing its guests to run for their lives. However, one young boy wearing an Iron Man mask decides it's a good idea to stand up to one of the robots, before the actual Iron Man swoops in and saves him. Fans had theorised that this kid was Peter Parker, and in mid-2017, current Spidey actor Tom Holland confirmed that this was true before mentioning that he just discussed this very topic with Kevin Feige. Wait, sorry.
Kevin Feige.
The godfather of the MCU. 3. Dumbledore is death in the Harry Potter series. Fans who carefully examine the tale of the three brothers, which appears as an animated sequence at the end of Deathly Hallows Part 1, found a shocking number of parallels between the old wizard Dumbledore and the personification of death who appears in the story. These brothers are said to represent Snape, Voldemort and Harry, and J.K. Rowling also confirmed that Dumbledore is the personification of death. But how? Well, Dumbledore has possessed each of the Hallows at one point or another, and he even gives Harry the cloak in the first movie. Plus, Dumbledore could be considered responsible for Snape's and Voldemort's deaths, and he's also the one who greets Harry like an old friend in King's Cross Station, after the scarred young wizard dies at Voldemort's hands. Mind blown. 2. Avengers Infinity War's Soul Stone contains the Soul World. The location of the Soul Stone was one of the biggest question marks going into Avengers Infinity War, and absolutely nobody managed to predict its true hiding spot on the planet Vormir, being guarded by Red Skull. Ah yes, of course. Director Joe Russo recently visited an Iowa high school where he took questions from the students. When asked about the young Gamora and what happened at the end of the film, Russo had this to say. Yeah, it's implied it's the Soul Stone. It's all orange around, then Thanos is inside the Soul Stone with the amount of power that it took to snap his fingers. When he goes inside the Soul Stone, he has this kind of conversation with the younger version of his Gamora. Russo then went on to confirm that Gamora was inside the Soul Stone, leaving the door open for a potential return in Avengers 4 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 1. One of the engineers in Prometheus was Jesus Christ. In the film, we learn that the engineers, powerful godlike beings, were trying to destroy humanity by using some sticky black goo they found in those Y2K alien egg toys we all had at school. Not very nice really, but maybe they had a good reason. The fan theory states that this is because the engineers had decided there was no hope for humanity after the humans crucified someone the engineers had sent down to guide and aid them. That bit sounds like it's based on a familiar story. Ridley Scott stated, if you look at it as an our children are misbehaving down there scenario, there are moments where it looks like we've gone out of control, running around with armour and skirts, which of course would be the Roman Empire. And they were given a long run, 1,000 years before their disintegration actually started to happen. And you can say, let's send down one more of our emissaries to see if he can stop it. Guess what? They crucified him. So Jesus is really a big old alien. Life truly does imitate art, it would seem.
Well, would you look at that? You got all the way to the end of the video and your mother said you'd amount to nothing. What are the chances? While you're here, why not watch one of our other many, possibly quite good channels, or watch another video which will be largely in the same vein as the quality content you've just endured. Go on then.